Name a website where you could find all content from We Studios, including Worst Episode Ever, a Simpsons podcast, other episodes of 90s Percentile, and our DVD, not DVD commentary series, Sync Points.
Ooh, I think I know this one.
You got to buzz in.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yes, Dan?
I want to say Reddit r/worst episode ever.
Is it up there? No, not quite. There is a link to Reddit also on this website.
Oh, okay. Then it must be google.com.
Nope. Strike two.
Man.
Go for the steal.
Is it wepodcast.com?
Ding, ding, ding. It's not.
Right.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Ruining the bit here. Is it up there?
I thought I already won.
We're going.
Steve Harvey, what are you doing?
Oh, boy. That's wepodcast.com. WEEpodcast.com. By Amazon?
By Amazon.
Is it up there? 60 minutes are on the clock and straight out of We Studios. This is 90s Percentile. My name is Jack.
My name is Dan, and we're talking everything 90s and maybe also everything before and after.
That's right, and talking everything 90s and maybe also everything before and after. With us today is our guest, Frank Pasquine. How's it going, Frank?
Well, you should just call it the Everything Podcast then. I don't know why even limit it to the
Everything
90s.
Everything Percentile's not a bad one.
This is the Everything Percentile Podcast.
We talked about renaming it just Percentiles in the last episode, which I don't know if that went over well.
Perspectives.
Yeah.
With Jack and Dan.
You're watching Perspectives. It is now 3:45 in the a.m. I'm here with my guest Lionel Osborne.
Fantastic.
It is now 3:49 in the a.m. You're watching Perspectives.
We kind of do that with the timer.
Yeah, we do.
Now that's I feel a lot of pressure with that timer right in my phone.
A lot of our guests get intimidated by the timer.
Well, we seat the guest intentionally right in front of the giant timer.
It's like I don't watch 24, but I imagine this is what it feels like.
We originally, in our test shows, we actually had the 24 beep, boop playing the entire hour, but it was...
it didn't make for good podcasting, believe it or not.
Again, I never watched 24, but what happens when he has to take a shit or if he's jerking off or something?
Detail. They showed the jerk off scenes. It's
Seriously?
incredible. It's amazing.
I can't tell. It's like, okay.
No, they...
and now they're doing 24 Legacy, which is the new thing.
Is
that just like...
It's the exact same thing.
It's the exact same thing. No, Kiefer Sutherland's not in it.
Reboot, yeah.
Oh.
And it's only 12 episodes a season. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
think
know
so.
that.
Yeah.
You probably haven't heard of this. Have I told you about my encounter with Kiefer Sutherland?
No, we should tell the story.
Okay, since we're here, and by the way, I didn't set this up, but it's like sitting on a tee. So,
I was going to introduce you as our guest first, but I guess this is a good way to introduce you. So this is Frank. He met Kiefer Sutherland once. So.
That's why he's on the show.
Kiefer met me in a sense.
Right.
Okay, so I was at the time living in East Village. And I was coming home. My ex-girlfriend lived in Brooklyn. So I was coming off the train about 3 a.m., 2 a.m., something like this.
Okay.
On a Saturday night. Lionel Osborne was there, and I was watching right after Perspectives. So I'm walking home, and it's that hour in Manhattan where people are coming out of the bars, people are kind of drunk. I was actually, surprisingly, on that time, kind of sober, which is rare. But I was walking home off the subway stop. I hear... Right over my shoulder, I hear, yeah. So I got nervous, like anybody, because there's fucking nuts out there, and I've been chased. I think Jack has seen me chased on the streets, and I've had some crazy times. So guys just going, hey, yeah. And it's yeah, I know, yeah, you. I'm talking to you. So finally, I did, one of these sort of turns. I want to see what's going on. It's Kiefer Sutherland, just wearing a tracksuit and his arm around what I think was his daughter.
Okay.
So it actually was. I found out it was his daughter. Well, I think it was his daughter.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so I turn around. I go, wait a second. I know you. He's like, I know you know who I am. so from then on, he's
hammered, right?
He's hammered. I mean, look, he was a great guy, so I don't want to badmouth him in any way. But he was out. He was out for the night. He came out of a bar, so he was with his daughter having a good time. And so now I'm just walking alongside of him. Now it's me, him, and his daughter walking, and he's like, "What are you doing? Where are you going?" I said, "Well, I had planned on going home, but what are you doing?" He's like, "Well, let's go out. Let's do something."
And wasn't the daughter like, "Dad, come on, just leave him alone"?
So meanwhile, the daughter, like, because he's leaning on her to stand. Meanwhile, she's saying, Dad, like, we've had a long night. Let's go home. And he's like, no. Where are you going? What are you going to do? I said, well, to be honest, I was just going to, it was Two Brothers Pizza for like $1 pizzas. He's like, oh, shit, they got $1 pizzas over here? I'm like, yeah, it's like right over here. This was not far from Union Square, if you know the area. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go there. He's like, oh, well, and now he's like getting self-conscious. He's like, well, you're skinny, you look really good, but and he's bringing out like his stomach. He's like, I got this gut, and I gotta keep in shape, and I'm getting older now, and like now he's just this like whiny old man. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're great. You're Kiefer Sutherland. You're in 24. You're in shape, man.
You're Jack Bauer.
Yeah, you're Jack Bauer, dude. So he's like, yeah, nah, I wish I had your body, your built. But no one could see me, but I'm not really like an athletic type. I mean, I'm not fat.
Yeah.
I'm just a normal body type.
Yeah.
So now he's just continuing to walk with me, and about 5-10 minutes go by. He is slurring. He can hardly say what he wants to say, but among the gibberish, I got to go see Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. That was like his best piece of advice.
Was he in it?
Or
was he just giving his movie picks?
Go see Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. And I didn't tell, because at the time I just graduated film school. I was at NYU, and yeah, I'm a writer, so I hadn't said any of this. I hadn't brought up my personal life at all. And he said, the first movie you make, it should be like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. So, by the way, to this day, I have not seen Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Yeah, I haven't either, actually.
I like that Kiefer's just giving out film advice to anybody, whether they went to film school or not.
And that's the thing. It's like, does everyone around him work in the film industry? I guess he's used to LA.
That's probably true, yeah.
So you didn't go take him out up on the offer?
Well, no,
get him drinks?
so we went to the pizza place. The pizza place was closed.
Oh.
Then I suggested getting drinks. The problem was he was in. His daughter kept dragging him away. And kept dragging him away. So finally...
She Keith blocked you.
She Keith blocked me. And so finally, I'm like, is this the moment where I ask for his number? Is that gay?
Yeah, right.
I mean, I wanted it. Who doesn't want Jack Bauer's number? But she kept dragging him away. And
was she sober or was she also drinking?
She was definitely the sober one. She was the
most
parent
sober.
in the situation.
Too. Yeah.
And he was sort of like, let me go. I want to hang out more. And,
yeah.
And I was down with that too at this point. I was trying to tell her to shut up, but
that's amazing.
yeah, it was. You had to have seen the state he was in. It was pretty intense, and the fact that I guess he wasn't very humble in the fact when I said I know you, he said, "Of course you do."
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Was 24 even still on at this point, or was this post 24?
I can't remember. It
might have been
probably
right after.
Post 24, pre
2009, 2010.
Yeah, so
I don't
it
remember
was in between. Yeah,
if it was on.
But it's funny that you said, "Is it gay to ask for his phone number?" Because I had a very similar situation with a much less famous actor, especially at the time. Now, because of X-Men and American Horror Story, he's much more famous. But he played Quicksilver in the X-Men movies.
Oh yeah, what's his face?
Evan. Something.
Oh man, Evan Greenspan. No, who's that? I don't know who that is.
That's nobody.
Isn't that the financial?
That's Alan
Greenspan. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Literally 2 letters in the first name.
You need to diversify your portfolios.
So you met Alan Greenspan?
No. So anyway, this actually is funny that you're here, Frank, because
I'm Alan Greenspan.
Because you tie into the story too. It was one of the we go way back. We went to school together. We're writing partners. I guess I'll do your bio now.
Yeah, let's get that introduction out of the way.
So yeah, you're a screenwriter, and we've written a lot of stuff together. I've probably written more. We're both solo writers. We've both written plenty by ourselves. But I think out of any writing partners, by far, you're the most prolific.
Why, thank you.
And probably vice versa, right?
No.
Okay.
Definitely not.
Right,
by the way, Evan Peters was that guy's
Evan
name.
Peters, yeah. So yeah, no, we've written a bunch of stuff together. We wrote a spec script called The Past that did well on Amazon, and we're still trying to get made 7 years later. We wrote Rusty Trombone, which won for the LA All Sports Film Festival a few years ago. I still haven't seen the award. It's somewhere in your apartment.
I have it. Yeah, I have it.
As long as someone has it.
It's in my room.
Yeah, no, you flew out to LA, and I was like, I'm not going to fly all the way out to LA for this thing. We're probably not going to win. And then
we won.
And then we won.
Yeah, we won. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so and you're working on a pilot right now with Armand Asante called Connected.
Yeah.
Which we already got written, and it's you've got a cast kind of lined up. Who's in it, or who's in talks to be in it?
Yeah, I mean,
you're trying to shop it to a network.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
we have a great team. Armand Asante is in for the leading role, and he has said that James Caan is interested. I've also heard and have
Yeah.
producers spoken to Frankie Valli, who's interested.
Wow.
He said potentially Joe Pesci would be interested in a small role.
Right.
That's not on
yeah.
a contract. That's if
It's
we
just-
get this
yeah.
thing off
This
the ground.
is
Yeah.
It's like what's that Louis C.K. show?
Baskets?
No, the sad one.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, well,
the
no.
bar one.
Oh, Horace and
Horace
Pete.
Pete.
I love that.
He
by
wrote
the way.
that for Joe Pesci, and Joe Pesci. He
Yeah,
seemed to-
yeah.
and then
But
it turned
he
out to
sort
be
of
Alan
helped
Alda.
him, which I loved Alan Alda in that
Yeah,
role.
so I'm saying maybe Alan Alda might just end up playing every role in
Yeah,
your
which would
pilot.
be great.
Yeah,
I would love to have Alan Alda.
But yeah, you're shopping into networks as we speak, so anything could happen.
Anything can
cast-wise.
happen,
Could be
yeah.
all Alan Alda. Could be Kiefer Sutherland might be in it.
In fact,
That would be
Kiefer,
amazing.
Kiefer, I know you're listening out there. We'd love to have you on the
Kiefer's
project.
actually like he's like I'll do it. And his daughter's like, Dad, no.
Dad, no,
Don't do Connected.
doing my project.
So yeah,
That's awesome.
And where are you on Twitter?
At Frank Pasquine.
Yeah. So check out Frank. Check out his work.
We'll put it in the show notes.
For sure. So anyway, we do go back a long time. We went to film school together, and we've done plenty of drinking. I think the first night we met, we were at China Beer, and we didn't even know each other.
That's true.
And
Yeah,
then we met a year
that
later
would be
again.
2002. I
China
think.
Beer was, by the way, I don't know the name of the place.
I don't
but
think
No,
it's, I don't think
China
it exists.
beer.
I
it
think it's
doesn't
gone
exist.
now.
It was a
Really?
Chinese food
I think so.
restaurant.
I'd love to go
Yeah.
back to. Oh, I know, Empire Szechuan.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what it was
That's
called.
one of thousands.
There's 20 Empire Szechuans,
Yeah.
but it was called Empire
Yeah, and it was this
Szechuan.
Chinese food restaurant where you would order a meal for like $18, and you would get unlimited watered down Coors Light.
Right, and
Yeah.
they didn't card.
And they never
No,
card. That's
'cause we
why
were
went.
18, 19,
yeah,
18.
They
Yeah.
didn't card. That was their thing. And
somehow everyone just knew it as China beer.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was just China Beer.
Have you been there?
Yeah, I had
We
been
went for my 20th birthday, and they carded because they got raided the night before.
there. Yes, yes, I
And
remember
so
that.
I had to sit all my friends without fake IDs at a separate table, and it was super awkward.
I forgot about that, but yes.
because it was a mix
Oh,
of
I
friends
remember
from
that.
all
I think
different.
was I there?
You might have been
Yeah,
there.
because it
Did
was
some
like
people have to sit in the back room
Yes.
area?
Yeah.
Was that you in the back room?
No,
Oh, okay.
I
You had a
I
fake
mean,
ID?
hypothetically, if there was
Well,
a room.
Yeah.
Well, they
I
closed
had
down.
like
They-
7
They
fake
eventually,
IDs.
they eventually went under because of all the child drinking. But
I think, yeah, I don't think they're around anymore.
but anyway,
yeah.
and then one of the nights we bonded and became friends was the night it was $1 tequila night at the Josie Woods pub, and we got
Oh, yeah.
hammered. So anyway, you drink, but I get sick all the time because I have low tolerance and I have no limits. This was one of the very few times where you actually went home early because you drank too much. It was Halloween.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
I was
you
going to say,
left-
I didn't go home that
So
night.
yeah, so
That
it was
was
me,
fine.
you, and your cousin.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you just you left really
It was,
early.
yeah, it was. So I was trying to be a mobster or something. I always do a half-ass Halloween costume. So anything I have
Sure.
in my closet, I
Yeah.
just put it together. The only prop that I had, I was just wearing a regular suit.
Yeah.
The only prop I had was this old cigar.
Yeah, that's right.
So after I had 5 or 6 drinks in me, I'm like, oh, I'll just light up this cigar
Yeah.
and start smoking it. That was the mistake. So
Yeah,
as soon as I
that
took a
goes
few
wrong.
puffs of that cigar, I was throwing up soon
Oh,
after.
geez.
Yeah.
So you went home early, and now I'm just, I don't want to say stuck, but it's me and your cousin, who,
Right.
I barely knew at the time. And we went to this bar in the Alphabet City, and everybody's dressed up in costumes. It's late. It's like 3 a.m. Everybody's hammered. And suddenly Evan Peters stands next to me at the
Oh,
bar.
right, that's right.
Yeah, and he's like, I forget, he was like dressed up as like, he had like
Quicksilver.
White. He kind of looked like Quicksilver. He wasn't, but he had like pale make powder on his face and like a gray wig.
Okay.
I think he might have been like that guy from Rocky Horror, like that kind of looks like a
Riff Raff?
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
And he's drunk, and he
Curry?
turns to me and he goes, "Look at my knuckles." And I go, "What?" And he shows me his knuckles are all bloody, and he goes, "I just beat the shit out of a guy."
Oh my God.
I was like, that's crazy. And he kind of looked familiar, but I didn't know who he was. The only reason I would know at the time, this was before X-Men, this was before American Horror Story.
Okay.
He was on currently the show called Invasion, the ABC
yeah,
show
yeah.
that was supposed to be the big follow-up to Lost. And
With, oh my
William
God, what's his name? William
and,
Fichtner, yeah. And Tyler
Eddie
Labine.
Cibrian, Tyler Labine. And so I didn't really recognize him, but he's buying everybody drinks. Or he's buying me drinks, basically. So he's buying me all these shots. He's like, "Yeah, do a shot. And I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." And he goes, "Yeah, you're cool." So we talked all night. I really don't remember what the hell we talked about. I was so drunk, and I had no idea who he was.
Yeah.
And at one point he goes, "Yeah, you're a real cool guy. I could use you when I was beating up this this other guy." And he goes, "Give me your cell phone." So I give him my flip phone, and he puts in his number, and he puts in Evan. And I go, "Okay, yeah." He's like, "Yeah, give me a call. We should hang out sometime." And so then the next morning, I get home, I wake up, and it hits me who he is. It's like, wait a second. I think it's the kid from Invasion. And I looked it up. Sure enough, his name was Evan. I looked at the phone. I was like, holy shit, it is Evan. So I was like, oh my God, I got a celebrity's phone number. What do I do? So I did. I texted him and I said, hey. I said, hey, you probably don't remember, but this is Jack from the bar. And this is like an old flip phone where I had to text by hitting
Which
like the numbers 3 times. I still have it. You had to hit like the number 7 like 3 times.
The T9.
And you can only fit like 4 words on the screen. And I'm just like, hey, we met last night at the bar. So you said we could hang out sometime, and I think we should. I hope. I said I hope this isn't too gay. This was, and I didn't.
It probably wasn't until you said that.
Yeah. And then once you brought that.
And then.
P.S. I am gay.
Yeah. And he never got back to me.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
I still have his number though.
Should we? No, we shouldn't.
Should we call him right now?
Let's get him on the show. Let's get him on the show.
Quicksilver.
Right,
we should definitely not
I'll
do
call
that.
Kiefer. You call him. Let's go.
Oh man,
now that's a podcast.
Yeah, it
The
is.
Kiefer, Evan, Jack,
Peters.
Dan, Frank
I would listen.
Quintet podcast.
All he'll say is watch Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, so it won't go far.
We still haven't watched
He's a
the
big
Kiefer.
fan. We still have not seen it.
Should have said the Swedish or the American.
I think I did, and he said Swedish.
Yeah. American might not have been out by then.
He said Swedish version.
There you go.
Kiefer loves the Swedes. All right, so
that's our show.
Yeah. So thanks for being here, Frank. No, we still have 45 minutes left on the clock.
Fantastic.
So it's probably time to dig into some 90s topics. We don't want to pull a last week and not do that. So, Frank, as our guest, it is your right to choose our first 90s topic.
I have rights here?
You have one right, and this
rights
is it.
here?
And you have the right to remain silent, too.
So those are the 2 rights.
So
I'll
there's
just
2
not
rights.
talk for the next 45 minutes and see where this thing goes.
You can choose a 90s topic.
And I think I was saying this prior. What raised me, in the 90s, I pretty much grew up in the 90s, was this amalgamation of Seinfeld, Simpsons,
Conan.
Conan, early Conan, SNL, the 90s ones, and like
Mel Brooks.
Goodfellas.
And Goodfellas.
And so it's like a combination of all of that.
Yeah, that's pretty combo.
If you speak with me, if you talk to me, you can't go 5 minutes without getting a reference to any of those
I would
projects.
say you're probably, the way Dan is probably the Guinness record, if there was one, of the most knowledgeable classic era Simpsons fan.
Sure.
You're probably the most knowledgeable Seinfeld person I know. You've got every episode just mapped on.
Yeah,
into your
usually
brain.
any conversation, I'll tie it into some sort of episode. I know everybody says that, but that unfortunately is how I was
really
raised.
funny
That's
is-
how you process the world.
That is how I
Seinfeld.
process the world.
It's really funny. Like we'll be out with me and Frank, and somebody will come up and go, "Yeah, I love Seinfeld," and Frank will like throw a line at him, and he'll just be like, "Huh? What?"
Yeah, and I'll just start out simple, like, "Oh yeah, no soup for you."
Yeah.
And like, who are you talking about?
What? Soup?
What
What
happened?
soup? I didn't want soup.
What's that?
I didn't order any soup.
Frank, why'd you bring soup
That's
up?
why. That's actually why Kiefer Sutherland was he lost contact with him. He was just couldn't keep up with the Seinfeld quotes.
Okay, so it sounds like you were maybe leading that towards a choice of a 90s topic. If you want, we have the 90s topic random generator where people go to wepodcast.com and submit their topics.
How about sketches from SNL from the 90s? Can that be a
SNL
topic?
from the 90s.
Do you remember?
Do you want
Could be a
to
nice
do a
topic.
specific sketch, or
It doesn't
there's
even
lots
have
of
to be.
sketches
Specific
from the 90s.
season or something like that?
I
we could do 90s SNL.
I can't narrow it down to this. See, the thing is, I actually watched them when they were airing live. As a kid, I would watch them.
Saturday Night Live.
Right, as it is live. And then Comedy Central picked it up. So when I would come home from school, I think that was on maybe 2:30, 3 o'clock, something like that on Comedy
I used to
Central.
watch that over and over again.
So that was kind of like
the late 80s, early 90s.
That's,
like
and that's all they
Sandler
showed.
years.
They wouldn't go really
that
before
was-
86.
No,
Yeah.
they didn't show the Charles Rocket years or anything like that.
That was
May he rest in
that
peace.
was
Yeah.
great. Like I remember Lothar of the Hill People.
I am Lothar of the Hill People.
Caveman Lawyer. I mean,
I'm
just a
supposed to
caveman
lawyer.
just a caveman confused by your modern airplanes and
When I'm flying first class, I think, am I in a giant bird?
and he builds so much empathy that whatever it is, the case is, he'll win just because they feel bad that he's this
He's an unfrozen caveman lawyer.
unfrozen caveman lawyer. Those are the sketches that I miss. I mean, I was telling Jack I watch. every so often now, but it's too much like Alec Baldwin being Trump and
you said you actually you watched one recently.
I did.
You were surprised you actually liked it.
Actually, Megan McCarthy was that her name?
Melissa
McCarthy.
Playing Sean Spicer.
Jenny McCarthy. Is who I was watching.
She was doing a sketch about how
I was
vaccines
watching
are fake.
90s Penthouse with Jenny McCarthy, and that's what I meant that I liked.
Live
I think you picked up that I somehow liked the heavy set McCarthy.
live from Las Vegas.
But no, I mean I did see that. It actually made me laugh. I mean, I'm kind of with the politics, it's getting too much for me. I can't go on Facebook anymore because it's too much pro-Trump, too much anti-Trump, and I'm sort of stuck in the middle there where I just don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it anymore.
Trump. It's not
It's like
Trump.
let's just see what happens.
So you don't watch SNL regularly anymore?
No, not nearly as much as I had.
So when did you
just
fall
more out of
out?
curiosity? When did I fall out?
Was it like the Will Ferrell years?
No.
Are you still
I
around
love
for
the Will
those?
Ferrell years. I can't pinpoint when I fell out. To me, there sort of became this PC culture. A lot of the humor changed for me.
I would say
for
me, I stopped watching as soon as I went to college.
I
'cause
guess that
stopped
was
watching
it,
TV,
yeah.
and I remember the cast at that time was not good. It was this huge cast. They had like 15 people on the show. Rob Riggle was on for briefly.
very briefly.
I don't get that guy.
Oh, I like him. I liked him on the show, and then he became much more prominent.
He's so over the top. I don't understand what's funny.
I don't know. I can't put a finger on it.
I would have a beer with him. He seems like a great guy. I just don't get the humor.
He makes me laugh. Keenan started that season, and he's still there.
Still there. Record
but
holder.
there were
like
some
Keenan.
really unfun. There was like a guy who played a drunk girl all the time.
Yeah.
There was Finesse Mitchell, something like that.
Oh yeah, I remember the guy, the drunk
a
girl.
name I
Time.
remember hearing
Finesse
at some point.
sounds
Jerry
familiar.
Minor was on the show.
Also
from,
sounds
Mr.
familiar.
Show.
Well, Jerry Minor, wasn't he on in like the 96 season or something?
No. He was
really?
on Mr. Show in 96.
Well, he was just
Oh,
on
yeah,
for
all
a
right.
year or what?
Yeah, he came and went. Basically, after he was like the replacement for Tim Meadows and Tracy Morgan. They were restocking their black cast because especially at the time.
Well, Tracy was fantastic.
Yeah.
I loved Tracy. I still
Tracy
do.
Morgan was great. See,
Yeah.
so I love that. So 95 was the big. Well, 96, like 95 into 96 was the big reboot where they fired everybody but McKinney, Molly Shannon, David Spade, and Norm
hung around,
Macdonald. And that's where Will Ferrell
That
came
David
in.
Spade, he's a coxman. I was just my buddy just texted me the other day, and he said he was with just the hottest fucking girl he's ever. And by the way, I used to live in LA, so I've been out and I've seen him out, and it's always a different model.
I'm guessing.
I mean,
he's
good for David Spade.
No,
right?
he's not an
a
attractive
known
guy, yeah.
known coxman, according to.
I've never heard of this
according
term
to
coxman.
Look it up.
I have
Well,
looked
look
it
it
up.
up.
It's a boating term, I think, too.
Isn't that Coxswain?
Coxswain, yeah, I think so.
Isn't that Bruce Wayne?
Oh, that's Coxman.
A man,
by night.
Coxman, a man reputed to be extremely virile or sexually accomplished.
All right, well,
and when I think extremely virile,
good for Spade.
I think David Spade.
He's got it made in the spade.
No, really. Like even it seems that he's better than George Clooney, or a guy that you may have heard is a
it's
coxman.
funny because obviously,
and some people might not expect it. It looks like you guys are sort of thrown off guard.
I'm not surprised
I'm
at
not
all.
that
'Cause if you're
thrown.
famous,
I mean, you're famous, yeah, but I'm
Right.
talking on another level of fame and still really putting them down.
It's really interesting that you say even more so than George Clooney because they're both famous. George Clooney more famous.
Well, he got
Clooney-
married.
George
That
Clooney
was his
charming.
thing.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's
that was his mistake.
but I think there's a combination of obviously you have to be famous to get this open door. But David, he attracts a specific type of that Hollywood stereotype of a girl who will pretty much just attach herself to anybody. Guys will do it too. I texted Evan Peters, but basically that type of that
go?
just
Anything
wants
to
to
get
be
ahead.
seen to get ahead. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I feel like David Spade maybe more than George Clooney because George Clooney can get anybody he wants. David Spade attracts that.
So you're saying David Spade is some sort of
He's
bottom feeder.
think
he's
about
kind of
this.
like that sarcastic. He'll put you down, sort of negging you, and
Well, look-
indirectly
yeah.
that works
Look at this.
on women.
that works with a certain type of woman, I would say.
Say this.
Right, hot ones
Say
go
I'm a
with
beautiful,
David Spade.
I'm a beautiful model. I'm living in LA. I'm trying to get my career started, but I'm a terrible actress. I have no
Right.
talent.
Right.
I'm kind of a ditz. Maybe I grew up in LA, and I.
Jack's describing himself, by the way.
Yeah,
It's getting too personal.
Never read a book in my life, something like that.
That's me.
And George Clooney can have anybody. But because he can have anybody, he's going to find somebody a little bit more worth his while than this person. Whereas
Right.
David Spade, he also has his pick of the litter, but he's almost going more for that low hanging fruit because maybe the one he really wants is going out with George Clooney.
So I think you're saying that he gets like the hot waitress or something like this.
But not necessarily. Well, they're all
Actress,
waitresses, but
model, newswoman.
but a specific type that's like there's not much to them. You know,
I just see my mind went to the
superficial.
Seinfeld
I guess
there.
is the word I'm
Superficial
looking
is
for.
fair, yeah.
I was quoting the Seinfeld where he's
the same
dating the maid.
Oh, yeah.
It's-
Great episode.
She's not a maid. She wants to be a newswoman. and then Elaine's like actress, model, some newswoman, something like
Who
this.
slept in the bed? The girlfriend. Who made the bed? The maid.
The maid.
What did I just pay for?
Ooh, you're a John.
Oh, let's keep this sophisticated. Out of the car, sickie.
Oh, man.
You know how to use a mop ringer?
Yes.
By the way, the Nexus of the universe has been destroyed.
Really?
I
Wait,
took
really?
a picture of it here.
One and one is gone.
The entire block is gone. Famous Original Rays is gone. It's
Really?
completely demolished. The only thing left is Katz's Deli.
I thought that
The
there was
entire
now...
block
too?
is
No.
destroyed.
I thought there was a bar called, wasn't it like 1 and 1 or something?
Yeah,
and
on
didn't
the
they
first
have
and
the
first.
You
Nexus
used to go
Lounge
there?
there?
Yes.
And that's
Oh,
gone?
1 and 1, the bar is still open.
Oh,
In
okay.
fact, now it gets crowded with college students, and there's a long
fair.
line. I've
Well,
seen.
we went when we were college students and we waited in line.
Right.
But just that whole block here. No, you can't see this on a podcast.
Can't see it on the podcast, but
showing you guys that entire block with Famous
Yeah.
Original Rays.
Wait,
they
that
had the
construction site's been
cheesesteak
there for like
place.
10 years. What are they building?
I feel like they've been doing construction there for forever, yeah. But that
It's-
happens
it's
everywhere
crazy
in this friggin' city.
but that's Houston. I mean, that's a main, right next to Katz's. That's a main hub.
that construction
that they
is
just
definitely there for at
completely
least
demolished.
10 years.
There's scaffolding up around a building that's near my office and has been there since I started working there nearly 5 years ago. Like, they can't be cleaning the windows for that long.
You never know.
I don't know what's
the
going
deal?
on. What's the deal? They scaffolding. Are they cleaning the windows or not?
That reminds me of the SNL sketch with where Jerry hosts.
Yeah.
And Adam Sandler just says the same thing every time. It's like, who are the ad wizards behind this one? No, I'm sorry, that is incorrect. And it doesn't go anywhere. He just keeps saying,
Yeah.
who are the ad wizards behind this
Classic.
one?
At one point, it was the right answer, though.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah,
I think at the end
maybe
of the skit,
was it in Final Jeopardy?
I could have sworn he never got it right.
I don't know. So he hosted 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Both of them were really good. There was a lot of strong sketches. He played a history teacher. I can't remember what the.
No, because the
remember that one.
final Jeopardy one on that one was Oprah. She's fat, she's skinny, she's fat. Pick a body size and go with it. Correct. I think Rob
You're right,
Schneider
you're right.
got
That
it.
was the final. That was the final.
That's a good skit. I forgot about that one.
I can't remember. I can't remember.
It was called
his-
"What's the Deal," right,
No,
or
yeah,
something like
yeah,
that.
That was that was the
right,
game show.
right.
What's the deal? But
Yeah.
I can't think of his other sketches. I remember there was a really strong episode with Seinfeld.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember.
The Jason Alexander episode was amazing. I remember that had a sketch where he was like new.
The Woody
new-
Allen fan club.
No, he was a new
'Cause they had that-
employee in the supermarket, and Schneider, I think somebody was showing him like the lounge in the back. He's like, "Yeah, this is where we come for lunch."
Oh,
and,
yeah,
and then,
yeah.
like somebody came in and yelled at them, and it was just like, "Hey, get back to work." He goes, "Yeah, there's not a lot of privacy here. Let me show you that lounge behind the
Yeah,
lounge."
yeah.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
they go behind the lounge, and then they go into the supply closet.
Yeah, it's just this little room.
Yeah,
at
and
the
then
end.
eventually they stick their
They
heads
stick
up
their
into
heads
the
into the
hole.
ceiling.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And I think Canteen Boy was actually in the sketch for some reason. Like he just came out and goes, "Oh, they need you on aisle 3." And Jason Alexander's like, "All right, Canteen Boy." And I was like, "What?"
And everyone's just like, woo! Yeah!
And end scene.
We recognize that.
Canteen Boy. That's a sketch from when Alec Baldwin hosted for like the 4th or 5th time.
Well, he
Yeah,
when
just
that was that was considered a big deal.
Yep. Now he's
He,
hosted 17 times.
Well, yeah, he just hosted I don't know, last week, let's say,
Yeah.
and I did watch some of that, and the opening monologue was, what's the 9/11 comedian? Pete Davidson.
Pete Davidson.
Pete Davidson.
Is he the 9/11
Yeah, he's
comedian?
known as the 9.
I know,
Well,
because
how
his dad,
about
his
how
dad
about
died 9/11.
yeah? I mean, it's very
Hilarious.
sad. No, but you know that guy Steve Rannazzazzi
Yeah, the guy from The League.
You know
Yeah.
you know where I'm going.
I know about
yes.
this. Yeah,
Oh,
maybe
he
maybe
made
Jack doesn't.
he made up the fact that he was involved, or what? He was in the building in 9/11, or he made up.
He said that he was in the building, or
Yeah, he
like,
wasn't
got
even
out,
there.
and he wasn't even in New
like
York.
he
I
had been
don't
going
think.
along with that as he was the 9/11 guy, comedian. And
Yeah.
then that turned out to
It's
be
just weird.
It's
He-
really
he-
weird.
he
He,
wrote
seems like such a normal, nice guy.
When
Who
he got
does
caught, he wrote a defense, and I'm not saying this excuses him, but basically it's like, I forget how it came up. It might have even come up by accident. And then once they said it, it felt weird to take it back and not say it. And he just went with it and it just got worse and worse.
It just snowballed and
I
spiraled
can see
down.
how
Imagine
that
that.
can happen. Look, I'm going to
Caught
complain.
in
I got
the
to
web
complain,
of
guys.
his own lies.
I never met Evan Peters. Frank's Kiefer Sutherland story was so good. I thought
Top him with
Evan
Quicksilver
Peters.
from
I started
X-Men.
it, and then it just kind of came out like verbal diarrhea, and it was too late. I dug myself in.
That's fair.
So I had to come clean. I wasn't even in New York at the time.
Yeah.
I don't know who you were with your cousin when you smoked that cigar. I got sick. It wasn't me. I hadn't been born yet.
Yeah, you were living in Moscow. You hadn't immigrated to the country yet.
Everybody knows my involved backstory
That's
is when
right,
I
of course.
escaped from Yeltsin era Russia.
Yep. Everyone knows that, so we will not go into it more.
That's why I'm known as the 9/11 guy.
That's exactly
It
right.
happened to be on September 11th, 2000, which was an unnotable date.
Right. Until a year later, you were celebrating your escape from Moscow, and you were like, what's everyone so sad about?
Totally ruined my whole holiday.
Boy, 9/11 comes up a lot for this
I was
90s
just looking.
podcast.
I forget. Oh, I can't remember
Never
the
forget.
actor. I was looking up an actor who died on September 11th, but it was like 1965. So he's like, how did he die? He died on September
Yeah,
11th.
died on September
That's a
11th.
Curb episode, isn't it?
Curb?
Actually, I think it is.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking
I
about
think
it.
so,
Well, it
yeah.
happened on
That's a
9/11.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
The whole time he's led to believe that he died on 9/11,
like on actual
and
9/11,
it was just
and it was like 3 years later. Or
he got in
something.
like an accident up on the Upper West Side or something.
Yeah.
And that was the 9/11.
Yeah. I
Well,
remember.
and it was like the typical
brilliant.
Curb like asshole where he
Yeah.
was just like, well, it was 9/11.
Yeah.
It was
Right.
September 11th.
Or the one where he has the two survivors meet, and it was a Holocaust survivor and a guy who was on the show Survivor.
Oh yeah. And the numbers written on his arm were just like washed off.
And they're
They're
talking-
lottery numbers or something.
And the guy who was on the show Survivor is trying to convince the actual Holocaust survivor, like, it was hard.
Yeah.
When the cameras weren't on, we had to sleep on the floor.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Curbs in that vein was where somebody told him about the terrorist attack, and he wasn't
Yes.
allowed to tell anybody else.
Oh,
and, like,
right.
He
Yeah.
had to pick which friends to tell him
Yeah.
to get out of L.A.
Yeah.
And the other
Fantastic.
friends were offended that he didn't tell him.
Yeah. Curb is an excellent
I
show.
I had the pleasure of being on set for the car Periscope episode when they shot in
that's
New York.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had actually been walking with a friend of mine and my mom.
Yeah.
And we were at lunch, and somebody had another friend, Nick Noga, who's been on the show,
Yeah.
texted me that, hey, they're shooting the car Periscope episode. Oh, he didn't know what it was, but at the time he said they're shooting Curb around
Yeah.
the corner. So I was right around the corner. I walked with my mom and my friend.
Yeah.
Sure enough, I see the set. Now, I'd lived in LA 2007, and while I was there, I had sort of an informal but nice meeting with some of the creators of Curb.
Okay,
Alec
cool.
Berg.
Alec Berg.
Oh, nice.
Alec
Alec
Berg.
Berg.
In fact, I got there and I was like, oh, he's going to love it. Alec Berg, that's a good John Houseman name. He's like, yeah, I hear it all the time. Thanks. But, he was great. And David Mandel, who
Yeah.
is
Veep
now...
now.
These are like luminaries.
He's the executive producer of Veep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Alec Berg is on Silicon Valley. I
Yep,
think.
him and Mike
Him and Mike
Judge.
Judge, yeah.
And the other guy was Jeff Schaefer, who created The League.
Yeah,
So the three
awesome.
of them met with me. I don't know why. I do know why. It was through another friend. But it was just an amazing experience for me to kind of pick their brain for a few hours.
That's fucking
Anyway,
awesome.
yeah, cut to me now in New York. I saw them. And so I said, fuck it. I'll just walk right on set and go right up to them and say, hi, do you remember me? And whether they did or didn't, I don't know. But I mentioned the mutual friend, and they clicked. They go, "Oh yeah, I remember you." And
I was the one that said Alec Berg.
yeah, I was that asshole who came in, and all I had to say was Alec Berg.
Frank Pasquine,
Yeah,
of course.
So I'm talking to David at the time, and he's just being friendly. He doesn't know
Did he
me.
ask you if they needed a fourth?
Yeah,
for the back
he's
nine?
he's the guy. He's the
Yes.
guy from Froth. You
Yes.
need a fourth for the back nine.
What's
Yeah.
the deal with airline peanuts?
And
He also worked on Clerks, the animated series.
Oh,
and
really?
At the end, and the end card for the show was him in like a pool, just going, "Thanks for watching."
Oh, really? That's
yeah,
him?
yeah. I'm almost positive. Yeah.
So I'm there, and now my mom follows me on set. So I look like this guy with his overprotective mother hanging over his shoulder.
My mom wanted to come.
And I'm in the-
for the audience who doesn't know, Frank's mother is the quintessential like Jersey Italian mother.
Right. So she's like, oh, Frankie's the best, sort of that type. So
Okay.
so she's standing behind my shoulder. I didn't even know she was there. I'm talking to David, and the other guys kind of get in on it, just a small talk. And Larry David's now standing there looking like your face right there, kind of puzzled. And he overheard like, Frank, what are you up to? Frank, what are you working on? And he's like, just staring at me, and I'm waiting for him to kind of butt in. He goes, you know Frank? You guys know Frank? Who's Frank? Who's this Frank guy? Who are you? I'm like, hey, I'm Frank. He's like, I know. I see you. Everyone's saying Frank this, Frank that. What's your deal? So literally just like as you would imagine Larry. And there's when my mom cuts in. He goes, "Oh, Larry, he's such a fan of yours. He's dying to be like you. You're his role model.
You're his idol."
He's what she said, and he goes, "He's like, look, I'm the wrong person that you would want to, kind of shape your life to be. In fact, don't be anything like me. I'm the worst person you can have as a role model."
Typical Larry David fashion.
Just kind of self-deprecating with that, and
that's awesome.
Didn't he, after he met his mother, after he met your mother, didn't he say, "It's like, oh, now I understand why you're a TV, why you're a TV writer."
So she's like, well, she just kept kind of interrupting and everything. He's like, do you follow your son around everywhere you go, or are you like that overprotective mother type? Now I get. Let me guess, you're always around, and you ruined his childhood, and now he wants to be a comedy writer. Am I correct? And I was like, yeah, you're spot on actually. But yeah, it happened to be the episode. I didn't know at the time, of course. Then he had to go. He said goodbye.
Yeah.
He actually said next time you're in LA, say hello, which I'm sure is bullshit, but I appreciate it.
See, that's a very curved plot. You should call him out.
Yeah,
on it. Just be like,
if
what
I actually you said 10 years ago to give you a call. But no, and then he went. Jeff Garland was actually right there too, and he's looking at me like, who the fuck is this guy talking to the head writers and Larry, and he's just this random guy with his mom on the street.
That's amazing.
And then so then Larry said, okay, I got to go. We're about to start the scene, and he walked over to a car, and the fucking periscope was going out the top, and at the time I had no idea what was going on. So
you thought Larry David actually had a car with a periscope as being a big Hollywood shot.
Yeah. So when I saw the episode, it was pretty interesting. I think it was the one with the guy with one arm or something. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I've definitely seen it.
It was the guy from Flight of the Conchords. He's in a lot of things now.
Murray?
No.
Oh, he's not Jermaine, right?
No, not a main guy.
Yeah.
He was a side guy, but I do remember him from Flight of the Conchords. He's in a bunch of things now.
No.
Arch
Barker?
I don't know.
He was the other guy.
Either way. So.
Whatever it was.
So it's really funny you're talking about how they're all just saying your name. Oh, it's Frank.
Yeah.
So me and Frank, we've known each other a very long time, and this has been happening since we work together now. Happened when we went to school together. For whatever reason, like besides the fact that we're both Italian Americans from the tri-state area,
right.
We don't have that much in common. But I mean, we do grew up on the same stuff. We have a very similar sense of humor.
Our personality, we have a lot in common. But
personality-wise, physically,
we
we're
don't
completely
look the same.
different.
You're a lot taller than me.
Better looking. Thinner.
I am a lot better looking. No.
So anyway, people just get us mixed up all of the time, and I'm not talking about strangers. I'm talking about like people we've been working with or have known for years. There's this one kid. Physically, he may have resembled Shrek. So
I may have nicknamed him Shrek.
So he called him Shrek.
Okay.
He gave Frank like free Yankees tickets, and then like
I actually had to pay for them. But,
all right.
And it was one ticket.
He just gave you one.
So I went by myself. They were playing Boston. I remember.
And then the next day, he just comes up to me like at 9 a.m. It's the start of class. He goes, "So how was the game?"
How's the game?
I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And just that was the
happens
first. But
all the time. I have no idea
people
why.
who have known us for years, they'll come up to me and they'll go, "Hey Frank, can I get this TPS report done by Saturday?"
Yeah.
And they do it to him. They call him Jack. And just
No idea why.
yesterday,
You guys don't look alike.
No.
So here's a new one.
There's
though,
a similar vibe, though.
Yeah, I get that, but not physically. If
but-
you're looking at someone, it's
Right.
not,
If I've known you for years, or even if I've known you for more than a couple
even a
of
week,
minutes,
a day, it's
And
like this is a different person.
Right.
And as well as you know Frank, and as well as you know me,
Yeah.
these are the types of people that are getting us mixed up.
Okay.
People who know us
Interesting.
both
That's true,
individually
yeah.
very well.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So just yesterday, I actually haven't told you this yet, Frank, and I was gonna, and I totally forgot.
Exclusive.
Ooh.
Exclusive. Well, we're always shocked how it just keeps one up. The situation keeps one. It's like, how is this person getting our name? Like,
Right. How could this be?
Just last week, somebody called me and goes, "Oh, well, I have you," and then they went into a 10-minute speech about something.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, where the hell are they going with
I
this?
know
He
what he's talking about.
So do you think you can make that happen? And it's just like, I don't know what you're talking about. He goes, "Yeah, aren't you in marketing? Aren't you Frank?" And I was just like, No.
No.
Chat. He goes, oh. So like it just keeps like one-upping
Yeah.
itself. So yesterday I met a person who I never met before. Like I literally met this guy. Doesn't know any of my friends really. doesn't know me. And we're talking in this social situation at a party, and we're talking for like 10 minutes, 20 minutes. And he goes, anyway, so Frank, and the name Frank never even came up. I didn't talk to you about any name.
Does he know me, this guy?
No.
Oh.
He literally pulled the name. He got my name wrong. He could have called me, hey, Gary, hey, Tom. He got my name wrong, but somehow pulled Frank out of the ether and called me Frank. This is somebody who doesn't even... Like, the name Frank never came up once.
You just look like a Frank.
I was actually supposed to be named Frank. It was my
well, you have a lot
parents.
of Franks in your family.
Yeah,
I have a ton of
Franks in
Franks.
my
I was supposed to be named Frank, but
My grandfather was a Frank, too.
but still, it's just ridiculous.
Let's be frank here.
I like it. We'll all be Frank
That's
from
the
now
pilot
on.
that Frank's going to write for himself one day.
I did write that pilot.
Let's be frank.
It's sitting on my hard drive. It's called Let's Be Frank.
Mine was Jack of all trades.
Mine was non-existent. But what I'm taking away from this whole Jack Frank confusion thing is that, Jack, if you go to L.A., you can meet Larry David and just be like, do you remember when you met me and my mom?
Sure.
Yeah.
And then,
Oh, yeah, Frank!
and then he's going to go, wait a second, you owe me $1,000.
Well, I know
Amazing.
the other thing that, because this always comes up, I'll reference the Billy Madison.
yeah.
Frank, this is Frank's shirt. When he shows the bottom of the shirt.
Frank's.
It's like, Billy, I pay for your clothes. No, this is Frank's. This is Frank's shirt.
Amazing.
Speaking of 90s
90s,
SNL,
Billy
Billy Madison,
Madison.
great movie. That's
Great.
Obviously Sandler, but Norm's in it.
Yeah.
else is
Actually,
it?
there's not that many SNL people in Billy Madison. Because I feel
Well,
Chris
like
Farley
the writers
is.
seem to be,
Chris Farley.
because what's
And,
his name?
What's his name? Yeah. Oh God, I'm drawing a
Downey.
total blank.
Robert, Jim Downey.
Jim Downey.
Jim Downey.
That's the
Right, he's
stupidest answer, and we're all
I
dumber
would-
the
for having
principal.
heard
I
it.
award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Yeah.
The ethics of the
Business
business of
ethics.
ethics.
The thing about ethics is
There's another, so that reference. Anytime Jack and I get distracted or just
Yeah.
don't want to be involved in a conversation, we'll just go the business of ethics. That, and
Nice.
we'll do when Lorne Michaels comes up to Homer, is like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
quick, don't look, here comes Lorne Michaels. So Marge, the economy. That's how
if we're-
Jack and I
if we're
have
talking
to
about,
escape situations.
because we work together. We're always just like talking about shit at work, and then if a boss
Yeah.
comes by and we have to pretend we're actually work. Frank does this amazing thing. Usually he comes to see me because I don't have an office. I'm sitting in front of the elevators.
right with giving out the Wi-Fi password. We know.
And so Frank will come up, and then if something like a boss or somebody comes by, Frank will just start pointing at my computer like we're taking a stock photo. It works every time.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
It
It's
works
like,
every time.
oh, look at those guys working hard. Just get a nod.
He
Look at
points.
them gesturing and pointing.
He points. I nods, and it's gotten
amazing.
We've gotten several promotions. Look at those two working hard.
That's amazing.
I don't even work here. That's
That's
what
what makes this so
hard.
difficult.
We could have listeners
That's,
spot the Seinfeld references
hopefully,
and
yeah.
email them in.
Spot the loony. Anyone know that?
I know that one.
Okay,
Yeah,
little
yeah.
Monty Python. Now that's
Old
not
school.
the 90s.
Not
but
90s.
It's okay.
No,
We
I
said
had.
before and
You know what
after.
it was? I had a
We covered all our
90s.
bases.
I had a 90s CD-ROM game.
Oh my God, I did too.
Monty Python, complete waste of time.
Yeah.
You had it.
Absolutely.
Me and you were the only two people who had it
Yeah,
in the world.
They had that, and the Spot the Loony thing was in there all the
Spot
time.
the
all the time.
Loony.
And they
Yeah.
also had Monty Python and the Quest for the Holy Grail, which was like, I don't know if you had that one too, but it was the most difficult game ever.
Well,
Oh,
so
it is the Holy Grail.
So
Yeah.
and I never figured it out. It was called Monty Python's Complete Waste of Time.
Yeah.
In the end, when I guess you finished the game or whatever it was,
Yeah.
you realize it was a complete waste of time because
Right.
there's
There's nothing.
ending.
It
There's
doesn't
nothing
end.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
just
it's just a
genius.
bunch of
It's over.
gags and bullshit you click on.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
There's like silly walks and
Right. It was
different
just
things.
like bits from old skits
Yeah.
and just things like
Yeah.
that. It was
That's
awesome.
genius,
I've
yeah.
never met anyone else
Me
who had
either.
it.
No.
So I'm glad we could meet
Yes.
on 90s percentile to discuss.
Yes.
If you
Now
had that
people are
game-
going to confuse me and Dan just because we have that in common.
Now,
I'm
you're
going to
gonna
walk
see-
around and go,
watch-
Dan.
Yeah, watch tomorrow. People are going
Someone's
to
gonna
start
call
calling
me
you
Frank.
Frank.
All
It's
right.
going to happen.
I'm
You've been infected.
I'm gonna get home and my wife's gonna be like, Frank.
You have to call somebody within 7 days and call them Frank. Otherwise, it'll be permanent.
Yeah.
That was
I
my
will do
That's
that.
the horror movie we're writing.
It's called Let's Be Frank.
The Frankening.
Frankenstein.
I guess that works. Are we still talking about 90s SNL? I guess we
Oh,
are.
God, there's so
we're
much.
just-
It's
it's,
such a
it's
big
a broad
topic.
topic. Do we have like a favorite host from the 90s that you guys can think of off the top of your
I
head?
can
know
tell,
what?
you know what? I can tell you what one of my favorite monologues of all time is.
All right, let's do that.
There's a few, but two.
I can think. I have mine already. Actually,
but I have my number one. My number two is I've only seen once or twice, and it was so good. It might have even been '80s, but Rick Moranis hosted.
Okay.
Rick Moranis is just so amazing. It really bums me out that he retired.
There was an article not too long ago that says he's not retired.
He claims he's
not
not
he does
receiving
country music.
He's with his kid. Yeah, he does country music.
wife
He lives
died.
on the Upper West Side, according to this article I read.
The Upper
Does
West
he live on the
Side.
Upper West
Yeah.
Side? Oh, I thought he
Hey,
lived
where
in
in the hell are you
Canada.
from anyway?
He's from Canada.
Upper West Side.
No,
no, well,
You're not going to get a green card with that attitude, pal.
he doesn't like L.A. I don't think, and he
Well, that's
doesn't want to like
understandable.
go places if it's not like really, really good. And I think
he's
he
one of the
doesn't
only.
get really,
He's the only
really
guy
good
that
stuff.
turned
But,
down
like,
the Ghostbusters cameo.
I mean, yeah, he could. He
I
could
mean,
have been. And actually,
that's probably a good movie.
That's a good movie. Yeah. But there's so many movies he can potentially be in. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, anyway,
The world needs Rick
he's
Moranis
really
again.
funny,
Come
and
back.
so he did this great monologue where how like the G. Smith would be playing the rockin' SNL theme,
Yeah.
and like the celebrity would come out and like clap a little bit and like dance a little bit to the music, and then
Yeah.
it would come to a crescendo and they'd start the monologue. So he comes out and like he's having a great time and he's like jamming air guitar with the guitar player and like
Yeah.
this is he's having a good time, but then he just keeps hanging out with the band, and eventually he just he's like give me the guitar. He's like making hand motions. Give me the guitar, and he just takes the guitar and he does like an actual guitar
like a
solo.
riff, yeah.
And then he keeps running, and then he runs past the stage, and he just like leaves, and he's just like somebody's trying to light the next scene, and he's just like I got it. And he just starts lighting
do
the scene.
remember this.
And he's like
Yeah.
running. Eventually, he just tell like there's a woman giving birth in the hallway.
Yeah.
Right,
And he goes,
right.
I got it. He delivers a baby, and it was just such a kinetic, nonstop, no dialogue in the entire. It was such a different. I like when the monologues are different. It's not just a stand-up comic doing stand-up comedy or let's take questions from the audience. Like they can usually be very funny, but it's just nice to see something completely different. But my number one is a musical, and I think you guys probably know where I'm going with
it might
this.
be mine too.
Yeah, it's Mike Myers.
Mike Myers,
From
absolutely.
hosting, yeah.
Yeah.
And he was on the show, and this was the 90.
This was 96, 97, I think,
So this was one full season after he left. He left somewhere in the 94, 95 season.
94-ish, yeah.
He was playing Judge Ito in the OJ trial.
Right,
and he
right.
left right around there.
Yeah.
So he was talking about how great it is to be a host compared to a player because
Right.
you get to be in all the sketches, and it's just it's catchy as hell.
Tim
just
Meadows.
singing.
It's great.
Doesn't Tim Meadows sing
is
that
so,
depressing?
Why did I sign that 30-year
Well,
contract?
yes.
So the way it's set up is he's like bumping. He's meeting all of the entire cast throughout the time,
Right.
throughout the musical.
Going through
He's
the backstage.
Going through backstage. Norm Macdonald's getting whipped. He's
right.
like, what happened? He goes, I messed up a line in that sketch, and he's like,
Yeah.
oh, I messed up a line too, and he pulls his pants down to get whipped. He's like, no, if you're the host, you don't
You
get
don't get
whipped.
whipped.
Yeah.
And then he bumps into Tim, and he's like, Tim, that's really great of you to come visit me
Right.
while
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
hosting.
yeah.
He goes, no, Mike, I'm still on the show.
show.
He goes, oh well. Things will pick up, and he goes off. But now the camera stays on Tim
Yeah.
Meadows, and like the lights
He
get
has
all
a-
dark.
He has
Yeah.
a soliloquy
Yeah.
in song.
He's like, "Who am I anyway?"
yeah.
Why did I
Once I signed that
this
30-year contract, that's
It's
such a long time. I see that now.
And then it just cuts to like while he's singing, they were able to set up this huge production number back
Yeah.
on the stage. Mike Myers gets back there, and now he's like flying on strings. He's like,
Right.
"Look at me,
Yeah.
way up high." Norm's there with a Canadian flag.
Yeah.
Yep.
Somebody's there with it's such an epic,
It's
hilarious,
great.
and it was
From
Mike
hosting, from
Myers.
hosting, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like Mike Myers at his funniest, like when he wasn't grading and like trying
Definitely.
too hard.
That was peak Myers.
So that's
And
your favorite monologue?
That
too?
was my favorite one. Yeah.
I saw him on the street recently. He looked
Yeah,
like
you
a
just run
Beastie
into
Boy.
everybody.
Was
he
he
looked
just
like
like
a Beastie
Frank-
Boy
Frank,
with gray hair?
It's me, Mike.
Yeah,
Frank.
no. It was because I haven't seen him in anything in a while, but he just
Oh, you
he
missed the
had
Love
gray
Guru
hair, but he
in
was
19
dressed like a
2008.
Beastie Boy, like a 80s Brooklyn.
Well, I know he's always wearing
Sorta.
an oversized hockey, like Toronto
The
Maple
re-
Leafs
yeah.
jersey.
I feel like I can't remember exactly. I feel like it was a fluorescent yellow Adidas track jacket kind of.
Okay, interesting.
I don't know how
He's
that's
peacocking.
Is there,
Yeah.
is there a 90s monologue that sticks out to you?
No, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if anything's sticking out. At least not right now.
There's a great one
but-
where Tom Hanks hosted. Do you remember this? Where Joe Pesci was supposed to host and he dropped out.
Well, that I was
Yeah.
just gonna say Joe Pesci
Oh, yeah,
is
yeah.
actually. No, because what happened there? Joe Pesci dropped out, and then
So they
Tom
got
Hanks.
Tom Hanks as
That's
like a
right,
last-minute
and he
replacement.
mentions that. But also, I remember when Joe Pesci had his opening monologue. Didn't he rip up Sinead O'Connor's picture because she
Oh,
ripped
might
the
have.
Pope?
Yeah.
Somebody did. Yeah.
He was like
it
that
Joe
was
Pesci,
that
maybe?
was that was disrespectful, and then
Ah,
he ripped
right,
I think
right.
a picture of
Yes.
Sinead O'Connor.
That might have been Pesci, yeah.
she burned or ripped
She ripped up a
the
picture of
picture of the
John
Pope,
Paul.
yeah.
Right, exactly.
But so Tom Hanks filled in last second. He goes, I don't actually have anything to plug. They just asked me to be here last minute. But you should
Right.
go see Joe Pesci's new movie, The Super, whatever it was.
Yeah.
You should check it out. And anyway, we've got such and such band. It's going to be a great show. And they cut to the
In and
music.
out.
And then he like walks back. You follow him walk backstage, and it's like Phil Hartman and the whole cast. And like, that was a great job, Tom. He's like, yeah, that was an all right monologue. And they're like, he's like, yeah, that was nice. He goes, I don't know. I feel like some kind of schmuck. I'm plugging some other guy's movie. Yeah. And like Phil Hartman's like, nah, you were funny. And he goes, what are you funny?
Funny how?
Funny how?
Yeah.
And then he breaks out into
Yeah.
the Joe Pesci, and it's Tom Hanks, and he just crushes it.
Yeah.
It's,
Tom Hanks
it's
is always
so funny.
a winner. I just remember one that this one always sticks in my head. It's not like a great one, but it's a funny one. Tobey Maguire hosted pre-Spider-Man Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
Like nobody knew who he was.
This
and
was
that
for the Cider House Rules.
They
It was for the
Cider House
Cider
Rules. Yeah, I remember that.
And he had been in like the Ice Storm, and that was kind of the joke, is nobody knows who this
Right,
guy
yeah,
is.
yeah.
And they had one of the, I forget who it was, in the crowd, like just being like, yeah, who are you?
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, I was in the Ice Storm. Did you see the Cider House Rules? And he's like, yeah, I saw that one. Cider House Rules.
Yeah.
That's right.
I just
that's
always
right.
remember that.
That was a
That,
good
you know who
episode.
that was? I think it was Adam McKay.
It was.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
it
it
was.
was
I
Adam
knew it was
McKay.
a notable
Yeah.
writer. Yeah.
So should we talk about Bad Doctor if we're talking about Adam
Oh,
McKay?
I love that sketch.
So Bad Doctor is one of the greatest sketches of all time, and at the time we didn't realize because Adam McKay was a nobody.
Yeah.
But basically, it was an improvised scene where Will Ferrell's mostly on the phone. Well, he starts off on the phone, and we didn't know Adam McKay's actually on the other end of the phone, having a one-sided conversation with Will Ferrell, improving and trying to make.
yeah.
They're trying to make Will Ferrell laugh, basically.
Okay.
And he plays a pediatrician, and Molly Shannon and Chris Parnell
I remember
are
this, yeah.
there, and Will Ferrell's just playing the worst doctor ever. And it starts with him on the phone having this weird non sequitur conversation
Yeah.
with Adam McKay. He's just like, "What? A palomino?
Yes.
Beautiful golden fur."
Uh-huh.
And then the sketch is so completely nonsensical
Yeah.
and like avant-garde almost.
which
in a way.
SNL doesn't do all that
No,
often.
no, and it was like Adam McKay. They let Adam McKay and Will Ferrell play off each other, and it was before they were really discovered to both be these
Right, it's before Anchorman.
comedic,
Yeah.
these
where they brought that to its kind of
yeah.
logical
And
conclusion.
then didn't you were like quoting? We used to quote it all the time.
Well, I
Weren't you
used to quote
quoting it?
that all
And
the
then
time.
Adam McKay was actually overheard you in a cafe or something.
No, that was definitely
Was
not
it- was
me.
that
would
wasn't
be
you?
awesome.
That would be awesome.
Somebody's like,
Frank had enough awesome
No,
shit
yeah.
happen
It
to
wasn't
him.
you? It wasn't you and my
No.
my old roommate Sean, and it was like somebody. I know he was there. I thought you were with him, and he was quoting it. And somebody in the cafe was like, "Excuse me, are you quoting that sketch?"
It wasn't me. I know you told me that.
Yeah,
at
he's
some
like, "Are
point.
you quoting that? I wrote that sketch."
Yeah,
And at the time we were
somebody's-
like, "That's really funny," but in retrospect, it had to have been Adam McKay,
Yeah, it must have
Yeah,
been.
which is crazy.
That's nuts.
It was my old freshman roommate Sean,
Okay.
but I thought you were
Sean
there too.
Spicer was your freshman
Sean
roommate?
Spicer was my freshman roommate.
Oh, man.
It's going places.
Yeah, he's doing all right for himself.
He's doing okay.
Yeah, no. Oh, the Q&A. That's what. One of my favorite Q&As was when Jeff Goldblum hosted.
Oh, yeah.
And he was taking questions, and everybody was just asking about Jurassic Park.
Yep.
And then at one point, Laura Dern shows up. It's like, "Hi, Jeff. Weren't you afraid of the dinosaurs?" Oh, well, everybody thought the dinosaurs were real.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Yeah.
"No, they're fake. It's a combination of CGI and puppetry." And then Laura Dern goes, "Weren't you afraid when we were filming with the dinosaurs?" He's like, "Laura, they weren't real. You know that. You were there."
Yeah. That was amazing.
That's a good one.
one.
One of the best sketches. He does so many good sketches in that because Jeff Goldblum's amazing.
Goldblum is
But
The
one of the
eye
best is
goes to Goldblum. That's what Conan would always say. The eye goes to Goldblum in any situation.
Goldblum. Secrets. I once I get this question a lot. I go, "Is it Goldblum or Goldblum?" And I always say the same thing. "How dare you speak to me?"
Goldblum. Secrets. That's one of my favorites.
I forgot about that. That is
Every
awesome.
Conan O'Brien secrets sketch is
Yeah,
amazing.
they were all great.
Ford.
Secrets. Conan was excellent back in the day. I mean, he's still good now.
Hanks does one too, right?
Hanks.
My real name's actually not actually Tom Hanks. It's actually Hanks Tom.
David Bowie's like, I once said it was Cleveland. It's great to be here.
Yeah.
I was lying.
I was lying.
Bowie. Secrets.
Oh, I missed that. That
was
and
awesome.
the year 2000.
Yeah.
And we do this the one where he's like Jay Leno does these all the time. The headlines.
Just look at
then-
this here, right here. This
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. Oh, that's not right.
It would be something where they would have this
Actual
little
items.
Yeah, actual items,
wording, on
Yep,
the paper
yep.
or whatever, and they'd zoom in and look what it says right here. I didn't like this too much, and then it'd be like the most offensive
most
thing.
insane, yeah.
For our younger audiences, just so you know how painful it could be to be bored before there were smartphones and before there was internet. Me and Frank were once stuck in Jersey. We had just missed a train out of Jersey, like the what do you call the Jersey
Well,
Transit?
The New
PATH
Jersey
train?
Transit.
New Jersey. So we were making our way back to New York, but we were stuck. So
What do you call that? New Jersey
What is that
Transit.
New Jersey transit system?
So we're waiting for this train forever, and we have nothing to do. And they were just the only thing. We had no phones. We had nothing to read, nothing to listen to. And there was just like a thing of free local newspapers. So we took them and we found a pen and we just started making our own actual items.
Nice.
And
Just have like little captions.
That's how you
next
had to
it.
pass the
to
time
entertain yourself.
before there was
I wish we
Candy
would have
Crush.
saved that. I think you did at the
save
time.
them. Yeah, I have them somewhere. I digitized
You save
them.
everything,
Well,
Jack,
I
so, yeah.
digitized it and then threw it
It's
out.
somewhere under this pile of trash. Over here.
Don't let them know it's solid gold.
We're living in a landfill here.
This is my home.
Yeah, so
Well, I
you're
was-
living in the landfill.
The one when you said Joe Pesci, I always remember the one sketch where he's got the pinky ring, and it's just there's hardly any dialogue, but it's just him looking in the mirror at a pinky with a pinky ring on. Do you remember that one?
I don't remember that at all.
It's great.
The two Jeff
You
Goldblum
guys-
sketches.
Sounds like a
You got to
winner.
see it.
The two Goldblum sketches I remember is one was with Rob Schneider, or was it? Yeah, it was Rob. It might have been Sandler. I think it was Schneider as like a subway busker, and he's singing.
Oh yeah,
and he's like,
please give me money. I am very
and
hungry.
Jeff Goldblum's like, "Here, take $1. What are you doing?
I don't need your money.
I don't need.
I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing this to perfect my craft.
Do you
When
think?
I said it wasn't for money, I was just lying.
Yeah.
I really do need the money. Don't listen to it. What are you doing?
you right?
Yeah, it gets more and more personal. Yeah, that is a
you
great skit.
standing right there.
Yeah.
I'm really just talking. And then there's another one where they're in a stadium, a baseball game.
Yeah.
And he does the wave. And
Oh, yeah,
everybody
yeah.
does the wave. He goes, I did that.
I did that.
I started
I
the whole
started
wave.
that.
I remember
yeah.
that one. I always think of that when anyone ever does the wave.
And it's relatable because
Yeah.
if you do get 60,000 people to do the wave, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, sure.
Do you see the one where Chris Farley's playing Giuliani's nephew or something?
yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah. In the
no
background.
mustard. Yeah.
I was thinking about, and then he rips off David Lincoln's arm. I was thinking about that sketch recently because the SNL writer got fired for making fun of Barron Trump.
She got suspended. I don't know if she ever got fired.
she-
Yeah,
she's not
she
coming back,
tweeted
though.
it.
Yeah.
It's like you're not allowed to do anything.
But like, imagine if they had done a full sketch making fun of because they were basically making fun of Giuliani's son because I remember
that was
this.
his son. Is that what it was?
So yeah, so when
Okay.
Giuliani was inaugurated,
Yeah.
his son was in the back, behind, in frame, in the news camera shot, and he's
Right.
there, and he's actually mouthing his father's speech. He's so excited, he's so proud of his dad, and he's mouthing his speech, and
Yeah.
he's like waving his finger around, and he's acting
He's
like
being
a
a kid.
politician.
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
being a kid, and it was so over. It was adorable. And then Chris Farley just like put on buck teeth and like a
yeah.
wig, and the kid's fat. Giuliani's son
Right.
was fat, so Chris Farley's much fatter. So he's just like, look at this funny fat kid doing silly things, and they played it over top. He rips off David Lincoln's arm.
Yeah.
So that was, but that could have really hurt that kid's feelings.
Sure.
Yeah, but-
I would say.
At least they're parodying a specific thing. I mean, the Barron Trump tweet was just like it was just kind of mean spirited about the poor kid.
Although it was, she said it was he's the first school shooter, like first lady,
Yeah,
first
right.
gentleman, first school.
Yeah.
But that could
That's pretty
mean.
fucked up, though.
But that could mean he's the first to kill his own family or something like that.
I think it
Not
might have been
school shooter.
school. It might have been school. It was something about school shooting for sure. But
Whatever.
It was
I mean-
well said.
Yeah, it was fine.
I mean,
joke.
it's on Twitter. It wasn't on the show.
It was
It's like,
definitely an overreaction. Like whatever.
It's crazy to me how like that can ruin someone's career now.
Yeah.
Tweet.
Well, it's
like
scary.
Gilbert Gottfried lost a whole huge contract with the Affleck thing. It was
yeah.
a tsunami.
He
or
tweeted
something.
about the tsunami, but
Yeah.
I've heard him on some podcast talking about it. I think I heard it from him talking about
he's-
it. But
he-
a lot of people
he-
seem to think it was because he was getting a lot of money,
Yeah,
and they were
and that
just
was their
looking for any
excuse.
excuse
Yeah.
to fire him.
Yeah.
I'm still convinced. I'm so afraid. We've made jokes about how I accidentally called Hitler a great man on the radio,
Yes.
and like I got away with it because obviously I didn't. If you listen
Right.
to context, it was fine,
Yes.
and we have a very
I
small
never picked
audience.
up on that.
But I'm so concerned that if I ever do somehow make it, and I get a screenplay sold or something,
Yeah.
this is gonna come back and bite me in the ass, and it's just because you can't. Like it just happened to PewDiePie, who's an asshole. But it's just like
Well-
there's really no way you can do.
Yeah.
Even if I said, "Oh, it was context," and I
They
really
could
didn't
even
mean
just
it,
cut it together.
It's just it shouldn't have been said in the first. It's just so hard to defend.
PewDiePie's was a lot worse
No,
than
no,
yours.
I know it is, but it's still so. The very act of trying to defend yourself from saying it makes you sound like an asshole.
Correct.
The fact
That's
that I'm
true.
saying no, I didn't really mean Hitler was a great man. Again, you should listen to our interview. In context, I'm not calling him
The confusion was great in the pejorative sense,
Right.
not in like great
significantly affected human history.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
Not in a
had
good
a
way.
large impact. Not like he was a great what a great
But
guy.
the fact that I have to spell it out like that just makes me seem guilty.
I mean, really, you don't mention Hitler when we're on our first radio appearance ever.
I couldn't
don't-
think of
don't
Hey
talk about
everybody,
Hitler.
here Hitler.
You name me one other person who's affected history so much.
Joseph Stalin.
He's worse.
All right, Attila the Hun.
This reminds
Genghis
me
Khan.
of the Norm Macdonald joke with. He's talking about Germany.
Yeah.
And he's saying now, everybody's scared. I don't get, and everyone's scared of Iran and North Korea and Iraq, but yeah, I'm scared of Germany because I don't know if you guys remember, but they went ahead and waged war on the world, and and then that got settled, and we defeated them and everything, and then they went ahead again and waged war on the world. So,
yeah, Norm Macdonald was the absolute best. I mean, one of the top 10 cast members for sure. My favorite
just
Weekend
proves
Update
my
guy.
theory.
Now-
Germans love David Hasselhoff.
What's crazy is he was fired because he was told he's not funny by Don
Almayer.
Yeah.
Almayer.
Yeah.
But supposedly it was because he was friends with
He
OJ.
was friends with
OJ,
OJ,
right.
and they kept ripping into OJ. Yeah.
Yeah. What did OJ do wrong?
I don't know.
He robbed that store with,
Right.
had
With a
his,
gun?
had
With
his
a gun.
Heisman Trophy.
He didn't.
Heisman
He turned down Naked Gun 44 to 4th.
And that's why they didn't
That's
make
why
it.
they didn't make it.
Nordberg.
They're gonna make it now if they can dig Leslie Nielsen up.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Well, do you think they'll do it? We only have a minute left, so this is a longer conversation.
Do I think they'll do another Naked
Well,
Gun?
with the way CGI
They
is
were
going
going to reboot it
with
with that Helms, I
Grand
think.
Moff Tarkin and Star Wars and stuff, with the way CGI, and it's getting better and better. Do you think
Yeah.
we're just going to recreate dead actors as like leads of movies? Like, do
Yeah,
you think
they-
that maybe there will be a
they-
Leslie Nielsen?
yes.
in
Yes, I think so.
I think they will.
They're doing it. I
Yeah.
mean, pretty
Actually,
much.
that would be, if you're an actor right now, that would be a great way to make money. Like, she's like, all right, you can make as many movies with my dead face as you want if you give
Pay
me
me now.
now $10 million.
So that is the exact plot of a movie called The Congress.
Really? Starring
What's
who?
that?
Robin Wright Penn.
Oh, I never heard of it.
She plays herself, and they pay her a lot of money to scan her likeness. She can never act again,
Isn't
and they
that-
can do whatever they want with their whatever movies. I never finished the movie because I wasn't that into it, but it's a great concept.
Sounds
Well,
like
even
that
take out the
Simone-
not acting again, but yeah, just selling the rights to use your body. It sounds shitty, but to have the money now, because who cares? You're dead. You're dead.
Right.
There's
Right.
no God.
If
There's
he
no heaven.
dies, he dies.
So I'm wondering
But
if people are making those deals
they
now.
do it now. Like it,
Do
for
do.
ma-
You said
major-
do
I
again.
did.
I bet you they make you do like Finn in
No,
Star
for,
Wars.
for major franchises, they scan your face in case that happens.
and
just
if you're
like Princess Leia.
and if you're a nobody, you have to sign it. What are you gonna say? No and turn down the Hunger Games?
right,
Well, that's our show.
but not even like they'll restrict you in any way. Like they do like a comprehensive facial scan so they can do a Grand Moff Tarkin situation.
Yeah.
Like it's like I think it's standard after Paul Walker died after
Right, but that's going to be crazy that
7.
in like 20, 30 years we're going to be watching
Yeah,
movies
I mean, it's
full
going to
of
get better.
Well,
and better.
actually, they're doing that with De Niro in I think it's called The Irishman, the new Scorsese film.
Oh yeah,
They're
it's
having
a young,
him as a young De Niro.
Yeah,
really,
Yeah.
Oh man,
So-
worked so well for Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen in X-Men 3.
I mean, but that was 10 years ago.
I know, no,
More
the
than that.
technology is going to get much better.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
just
the
weird-
Grand Moff Tarkin didn't
It's
work
weird
so
to
well,
think
but-
that we'll be watching like a young Tom Hanks in a movie like 40 years from now.
It's weird. We live in a fucked up place, but
I mean,
that is it for this
I
episode.
mean,
Flash, too.
Hanks Tom.
Secrets.
That is it for this episode of 90s Percentile, and we're going to turn to Frank first,
Why?
just to stare at him for a
Quit
little
looking
while.
at
This
me.
is
This is
our
getting
new
uncomfortable.
segment. We uncomfortably
stare at me.
Staring at the guest.
at the guest
And we're
on
going
this
to ask
audio
you,
podcast.
It's like that Twilight Zone episode.
Which one?
They're all the same.
we're going to ask you, Frank, what did you learn today on this episode? Possibly nothing.
I learned not to smoke a stale cigar. Although I learned that a while ago.
yes, I think you
so-
learned that.
You remembered
Actually,
a
I
couple years
remembered
ago.
that because I was about to do that as I walked out of here.
Yeah, there-
so relieved I was going to smoke a shitty
Don't
cigar.
do it. Don't do it.
And
man,
I think
good
I would
man.
throw up again, so I'm not going to do that.
Nice.
Dan?
What did I learn today? I learned that...
I also learned
yeah.
that you're the other person on Earth who bought Monty Python's
There you
Complete
go.
Waste of Time,
Absolutely.
hence wasting your time as well. So-
I'd like to waste a lot of time. I learned that Larry David, I could just walk up to him and be like, "Oh, I'm Frank. Remember we met outside on the set of the Car Periscope episode?" And he would be like, "Oh, okay."
Do, 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 do.
I would love if that was my life
stare
soundtrack.
down. Oh,
just
man.
to Curb Your Enthusiasm
It's
music.
the best. Curb is so good.
Um,
Jack, what did you learn today?
What did I? All right,
New season of Curb coming out.
I'm so
Why
excited.
am I plugging that?
I don't know, but I'm
So see
super
it.
excited
Yeah.
about it.
I guess I just learned that, and
Yeah.
I learned
Oh,
that.
you didn't know that?
I knew, but
They're filming it now.
I didn't know the specifics. And also, I learned that the Robin Wright Penn made a movie about selling her life rights, which is really crazy to think about. That there is going to be movies with our favorite dead celebrity. Like
Yeah.
there could really be sequels, like a Naked Gun 44 and a fourth, or whatever.
That's what they'll use it for.
That one's
but,
probably going to be
Yeah.
not.
They
that-
should.
That's down
but
on the
I don't know
list.
if that's what
Yeah.
they're going to use it for.
All right, so that is it for this episode of 90s Percentile. Frank, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having
and
me.
joining us. You want to plug your Twitter or anything again?
Sure, at Frank Pasquine.
All right,
There it
we'll
is.
put links to it
Nice
in
and
the show notes.
simple. First name,
Nice
last
and easy.
name.
That's my name.
At sign at the left.
None of this like crazy, wacky make-em-up stuff like I'm at Then Dan Says.
I'm at Jackie No Breaks.
And the show at 90s Percentile or at We Studios Pod. Before we get out of here, we want to say check out our website. It's wepodcast.com and check out old episodes of the show. Or you get our Simpsons show on there. And click our Amazon links or just go to amazon.wepodcast.com. That helps keep the show free, support what we're doing here. And if you don't want to spend a single dime, you can help us out another way by going to iTunes and writing a 5-star review, rating the podcast, and saying, I like these guys. They're totally tubular. And if you do that, you may get your...
Did you just say totally tubular?
Oh, yeah, because we're a
Where'd you get
90s
there-
show,
Yeah,
bro.
you just-
Wait, was that a chain? Did you guys know what that is?
Oh, is there a place called Totally
Oh,
Tubular?
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Growing
no.
up-
Was it like tubes?
Yes. Growing up, there was a place near me for kids called Totally Tubular.
Wait, was it like a...
And you go into tubes and you crawl
like
around.
a Discovery Zone kind
Yeah,
of thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
It was
I
called
did know
Totally
that,
Tubular.
but I wasn't
I didn't-
intentionally
now I was-
referencing that.
No.
Okay, I
I
thought-
wasn't allowed to do any of that. When that became big in the early mid '90s,
Oh,
the
they were the
DZ and
best.
stuff, I
Yeah.
was already too tall. I was tall for my
Really?
age, so
Oh,
they
man.
wouldn't let me in. So I had to watch all the other kids play.
Well, they were awesome, and you missed
It
out on
explains
a
a
lot.
lot.
That
of my
explains Jack.
personality.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, it may get read on a future podcast. Like Frank is going to read one right now. All right, so Frank, take it away.
This review right here, it says, I really fucking hate 90s nostalgia by Ben Wiener or Weiner. I'll say Wiener.
Sounds like a
since
wiener
this
to
is-
me.
Since
Yeah.
this is negative, I'm assuming. Although, wait, it says
Oh, no, it's a
rating
5-star.
5 stars. Okay, I take that back. Weiner. I
Well,
normally...
that sounds just as bad. He sounds like he's whining.
Sorry.
Sorry, Ben. It's a fine
Wiener.
name.
Ben
Wiener.
Wiener.
That's how
There you go.
Again,
That's
with
it.
that Germany thing. But, I normally hate 90s nostalgia. Jack and Dan make me want to do 90s stuff. However... Oh, that's it. They're fun. I felt like it was going to be... Oh, wait, here it comes. It's just he has a period after, however, so usually you close his sentence with... Anyway, they're fun, funny, and bring a light energy, though I may miss my favorite characters from a certain related Simpsons podcast product.
Oh, yeah.
This one brings a lot of light to my Monday morning commute and often makes me laugh much too hard while driving.
All right, Ben.
All
Well,
right.
we hope you
Thank
don't
you, Ben.
crash
Nice guy.
while death by 90s percentile.
Yeah. Hopefully he's not like a air traffic controller
Wait, I just-
or like a bus driver
Sounds
or
like
something.
Breaking Bad season 2.
I might as well,
exactly
can I
right.
read the one under? It just says, yo, this podcast is fresh.
5
5 stars.
I think we've read that one on air
But
before.
you can read it
you
again.
could read as many as you like.
It just says it, and it's quick to
Just
read.
don't
Yeah.
read the 1 stars. Those don't
Yeah,
exist.
those don't exist. We only have 5
of
stars.
course
So
not.
thank you, Frank. And thank you, Ben. And that's
That's it, I think, right?
going to be it for this episode of 90s Percentile.
All right. My name is Frank.
My name
I'm
is also
Jack.
Frank. And we'll see you in another Frank.